all of you. This is really a great moment for me to be here on 15th August. And at the very beginning, I'm really touched by my poet friend Yakub, who has spoken so brilliantly, and I can hardly follow the language that you speak, but I'm extremely sorry that I cannot speak Telugu. I would have been the happiest person if I could speak Telugu. And in this multilingual society in India, we have this difference, and we have this beautiful difference, and that we cannot reach to each other without a language which is not our own. That is good and that is bad at the same time. Now, coming to today's afternoon, Kavisangamam is really a great idea. And I was really wondering that Facebook can bring so many poets together. And then I just remembered, if Facebook can be instrumental for a revolution in Egypt, so why not a revolution in Telugu poetry? So this is really something which when I entered Facebook, I thought this is just a toy for me. It's a game for me. It's a child's play. And Facebook is banal, it cannot give you anything extraordinary. But that day I realized that Egypt can change its government only because of the Facebook revolution, and it really did something, and then it spread all over. And today, this afternoon, I'm again realizing that Facebook can bring us all together. The poets, every poet is an island. His room, maybe his own or somebody else's, whatever it is. But every poet is an island, and if all these islands, if you can send message to different islands, then it really is going to work, and this is really something different. And that is exactly what I am realizing this afternoon. Now the point that I had, that is poetry that good. This poetry is that good to bring so many people together. Poetry has never been good. Poetry has been doing all bad things in the world. We always think that poetry, just to think about one line or two lines, two slogans, three slogans made out of poetry, can just make you real. Can give you a new idea, and that idea is not good for any government. Maybe that idea is going to destroy a lot of people. But that also initiates a new kind of genesis, a new kind of idea, a new kind of thought. So you just imagine, I just give you one example. It's a very small little poem. This is a poem by Nicanor Parra, a Chilean poet who was equally popular in America, who came to, in fact, he came to India 10-15 years before. He also came to Calcutta. He was very old at that time, and still he's alive and still writing. Nicanor Parra, so about 30 years ago, he wrote a 3-line poem. I tell you the poem. Once you hear this poem, many of you possibly know this poem, and this poem was absolutely against America, and there was a neon light, a signboard in Manhattan, where the poem was, again and again, every 5 minutes, the poem was shown, on the signboard, on the board. The poem says, the poem is called USA. The first line is, USA. Second line, where? And the third and last line, liberty is a statue. So I'm really reminded of this short poem, possibly the shortest poem that I have ever read, other than haikus. So this poem, which was a slap, and he was living in New York City at that time, and he was amazed that democracy can go to that level to entertain a poem which was rather attacking America. So I believe that poetry is protest. We don't want protest. Poetry is going to give you sometimes, as Allen Ginsberg said, when he came to Calcutta, he said that when I wrote Howl, it was not just a poem, but I just dropped a bomb on White House. You think about Tukaram. Tukaram, who was murdered at the age of 38, and who revolutionized Marathi poetry. If you read his poems, you find that, okay, fine, a saint is there, but I believe a saint cannot write good poetry. A poet has to be a man, a flesh and blood man. So when Tukaram wrote those poems, so he was told that you are low caste, you cannot write poetry. So the myth goes like that, all of his poems, were thrown in the water of the river, and all the poems, just came up to the surface, and the poems were afloat on the river, and this is how people later came to know his poems. This is a myth, forget the myth. But the point is that he wrote, which the Brahmins, the kind of poetry that he wrote, the Brahmins did not accept. They did not allow him to write. You think about Russia, you think about Soviet Union during the time of the Great Purge in the 30s, when Lenin marked so many writers, including Boris Pasternak, in red color. You think of Milan Kundera, very recent example. One fine morning he decided to take his books with him in the back of his car and started driving the car, and he left his country, came to Sorbonne. When she wrote it, I just give you the idea of the poem that she wrote, in Manipur, right? Named Chobi. She was a young poet, and this poem was included in the Penguin Anthology. A poem goes like this. The mother is coming back home. She is coming from the plain and climbing the hills, the awful journey. She's coming, she's climbing, right? Coming and coming, it's morning, it's afternoon, it's evening, and then finally the mother reaches her home. And the Manipuri women, they have baskets on their back. And the they put everything in the basket. And when the mother arrives, so all the children come to her to see what food she has brought today from the plane and the food in the basket. So the mother kept the basket in the courtyard, and when all the children found, opening the basket, they found their father was sitting inside the basket. This is, this is absolutely, this is a kind of poem which is not, this kind of thing is not known to us. So if you go to Manipur, if you find this kind of poetry, and she was almost ostracized when she wrote this poem. This is their thing. This is their religion. This is, and that if there is any Manipuri guy, I hope that he will forgive me. Because it is the Manipuri boys and the northeast, especially in northeast of India, you find men are very lazy and women are working. Women work more. Most of the husbands, they sleep in daytime. And I don't know what they do at night time, I don't know. But the point is, they sleep and sleep and sleep and they don't do anything. And the women are working, they are running their families, they are collecting food and everything for their family. So when this poem was published, it was like a slap on the, on the males of Manipur. So it was, I find whenever I go to any corner of the country, or any place, when I was in Greece, for example, 3-4 years before, and I was in an island. I was taken to an island. It is called Paros, which is a very famous island. And that island, I discovered a poem, and that poem infuriated the mayor of the island. And that poem was only about a bird. I couldn't get it. I couldn't understand it. Why? The birds, it's a bird poem. How can it? So, the bird has a kind of, it's not that I am used to that metaphor. I have to understand that metaphor. Why that particular bird, how it is associated with administration, how it goes to hit the mayor of the island. That was really interesting study. So I feel that poetry is always, W.H. Auden said that poetry doesn't make things happen. But I have always believed, after having read Pablo Neruda in my childhood, I have always believed that poetry is the only thing in the world that can make things happen. That can make things happen. And today I am really proud to be here. I thank my friend, poet friend Yakub. He has invited me. I have come a long way from Calcutta to Hyderabad. But I feel that my journey is rather prized with this emotion, which has charged me again, as he has, as it is possible, so many young poets, and not so young, they all have come together. We have been here as if we are taking an oath that yes, it is poetry and nothing else but poetry that can make things happen. Thank you.